What's going on, YouTube? So y'all have to forgive me for two reasons. One, I'm still dealing with this dry cough from this muscle tension that I have, and also this rain is falling down here in central Illinois. So I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but if you can, my apologies. Now this is just going to be a quick video to respond to this latest news story that I heard from yet another one of these delusional femicunts. And the only reason I'm responding to this is because, ironically, I made a video, as some of you may recall, about almost 3 weeks ago, involving the issue of black women and abortion, and how since 1973's Roe versus Wade, black women, more than 19 million of them, have led the nation in abortions. They have quite literally aborted 1 out of every 3 black children in America, in black America. There are a little over 38 million of us, if memory serves me correctly, and black women aborting 19 million means that there would be 57 million of us had they not aborted 1 out of every 3. So that accounts for about 1/3. If you multiply 19 times 3, it's pretty damn close. I also made a video, ironically, entitled "Let's Talk About Becky." And in that video, I referred to the Snow Bunny, or the white girl, or the Snow Queen, or whatever you niggas prefer to call them, in relation to how a lot of black men still choose to put the white American female on a pedestal, as if she is that much better than the black American female. And I listed several reasons in that video why she is really not that much more higher up on the totem pole. I mean, unless you're, taking into consideration, abortion statistics and family statistics and, juvenile delinquency statistics. But again, when you compare the mindset of these females, yeah, white women rank a little higher in statistics. But when you look at the mentality of the black American female and the white American female, what you will see is why the likes of YouTubers like David Carroll say that the black American female derived her pro-feminist, narcissistic attitude from the white feminist movement back in the late 1960s, shortly following, even during that last few rounds of the American Civil Rights Movement, off the backdrop of the anti-Vietnam War protests and all that free love and free liquor bullshit that was going on back then. Excuse me, guys. So what I realized, the reason why I made this video, was because I realized the irony in that if you take my video entitled "Let's Talk About Becky," where I warned black men that listen to my content against putting these white hoes on a pedestal as if they're, the 100% answer to the black man's problem. And you combine that with the video, the actual 2-part short video series that I made. The first part, where I talked for nearly an hour about black women and aborting the seed of 1 out of every 3 babies that they've had with black men since 1973 Roe versus Wade, along with a video on BitChute that I linked it to, where I showed this delusional 40-something-year-old black cunt that was talking about, bragging about the abortions that she had, and then turning around and talking about marriage, being a good Christian woman, and being a good mother all in the same sentence. And when you combine these two, well, actually three videos, what you get is equal to what we've seen in recent headlines with this Alyssa Milano tramp. Now, for those of you who don't know, Alyssa Milano used to be somebody famous. You may have remembered her from her role playing Samantha on Who's the Boss, or Jennifer on Melrose Place. That's where I remember her from. And of course, Phoebe on Charmed. But in more recent times, she's been an outspoken feminist activist. She's spoken and gotten herself involved in several issues, including the hashtag Me Too movement. But more recently, this middle-aged thought, who has 2 children, by the way, has gotten involved regarding this issue of abortion. Now, she called herself responding to a controversial new Georgia law that was just passed, signed into law by the governor, which I'm sure most, if not all of us, have heard about. The governor, he signed into law an abortion bill that would make it illegal to terminate a pregnancy once or if a fetal heartbeat was detected. And what this means is that a baby that is in the womb of a woman that is still considered by law a fetus, but it's essentially it's a baby, it just hasn't come down the chute yet. If when they do the sonogram or however they detect the baby's vitals inside the womb of the woman, if they detect that the fetus's heart is beating, they can no longer perform an abortion on that woman. From that moment on, she has to have the child, at least by law, in the state of Georgia. And I say, what's wrong with this? I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. If we want to use a standard for what is the determination for when life begins and when life ends, all we have to do is look at the medical industry, the health industry. Okay? When you go to the hospital unconscious and they roll you out of the ambulance into the emergency room, what do they check for? They check for a pulse, right? Because a pulse determines signs of life, because no one can be alive without blood flowing through their arteries and veins. It is essential that your heart keeps pumping blood throughout your body. Blood not only carries protein and nutrients that you need, it also carries oxygen. You cannot be alive without oxygen, and thus you cannot be alive without blood. That's why when your heart stops, you also usually stop breathing not too long after that. So to say that a baby is legally considered a baby, because that's essentially what they're saying, and that's what got these whores upset. Essentially what they're saying is, from here on out in the state of Georgia, we decided that a baby is no longer considered a fetus, but a human being. And it is illegal by the law of every state in the union to kill a human being. That's called murder. So we are going to determine that a fetus is a baby at the moment that we hear a heartbeat inside the womb. Inside the womb. God damn. So, again, I have to come back and I have to ask the legitimate question. What's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that. But apparently, femicunts like Alyssa Milano do. Now look, here's the deal. To some degree, I can understand a woman being upset. I can understand anybody being upset that government at a local, state, or federal level is trying to tell them what to do with their own physical bodies. I can understand that. Yet what I cannot understand is how these same people who seem to be so upset with this idea that they may have to have a child that they helped conceive with a man did not at any time, at any point in time, unless it was rape, go to take the appropriate safety measures to ensure that she did not get pregnant. She did not take any steps towards making the man wear a condom. She did not take any steps towards, getting her tubes tied. She did not take any steps towards, I believe they even have contraception for women that, is like a vaginal condom. I believe they have vaginal condoms now. Some of you ladies can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they do. She did not take any steps towards, taking a birth control pill. She didn't even take the morning fucking after pill, which they have now, which is once you get fucked, once you do the deed, you wake up in the morning, after having your ass rammed, and you can take a pill, and whatever semen is inside of you can be rendered ineffective, can be neutralized. She took absolutely no steps whatsoever to protect herself against pregnancy. This will be the same female that will be on a social media platform calling somebody else a monster for something that they did to a kid. If a kid is murdered or molested, this will be the same female that we see time and time again in our society talking about what men do wrong and how men ain't shit and how men don't take care of their kids and how, men are this, that, and the third. And yet, she refuses to take accountability for the fact that she has the ability to bring forth a human life form into this world. She refuses to take responsibility and acknowledge the fact that from the moment she takes her clothes off or pulls down her panties and willingly, again, we're not talking about rape. We're not talking about forced sodomy here. Okay? From the moment a woman or a girl who, can get her period, from the moment they spread those legs, take those panties, pull those panties to the side, as David Carroll would say, and open their legs and allow a man to insert himself into her, unless he was wearing a condom and the condom broke. I can even understand that. She willingly, consciously made the decision to put herself in a situation where she could potentially become impregnated by that man's sperm. Okay? It's just like if I get pulled over for speeding, which I have on several occasions. That's the only thing I have on my record. Speeding ticket after speeding ticket. I'm a lead foot. What can I say? I speed down the road. The cop pulls me over. He questions me. He tells me why he pulled me over. And I get mad. I say, hey, you didn't pull any of these other thousands of people out here on the road over for speeding. There was a guy that went right past me. He said, but I didn't catch him. That's not the point. I can't catch everybody. I caught you. You were willingly stepping on the gas pedal, knowingly going faster than the speed limit, knowingly putting your life and other people's life in danger. Here's your ticket. If you don't like it, contest it in court. Okay? Everyone you see in this wretched life has to be held accountable and responsible for their actions. And yet somehow, whores like Alyssa Milano, the Becky that you people have termed as white woman, thinks that she is above not only the law of man, but that she is above somehow the law of nature. As I have told y'all before, unfortunately, black women have adopted this mentality of the crazy white bimbo that thinks somehow that she's special because she has a vagina between the legs. I have a woman in my family right now that had an abortion, aborted the seed of a man who wanted to marry her back in the day. This woman goes around day in and day out, calls herself testifying and evangelizing about the good Lord and what he'll do and where you going if you don't believe in him. You're going to hell. And how good God has been to her and yada, yada, yada. How much she believe in God and how she's doing the Lord's work. And you know, every once in a while when I see her, it bugs me. It really does. It just bugs the fuck out of me. And I just, it's like a fucking gnat at a barbecue when you're trying to cook ribs. And the thing is just, it's getting all in your ear. It's getting in a little wet spot, you know, in your little eyelid. And it's just deliberately bugging the fuck out of you. And so I have to ask this woman every once in a blue moon. I don't ask her all the time, but I do get around to asking her sometimes. I say, woman, what? I'm just curious because you believe in an afterlife and you believe in a judgment day. Now, you know, I don't believe in God the same way you believe in him. But you tell me that I and other people have to believe in him in order to inherit what he calls eternal life. And yet, on his 10 commandments, it doesn't say anything about questioning who he is or what his purpose is about. But it clearly says, there's a commandment that says, thou shalt not fornicate and thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not commit murder. Both of which you're directly guilty of fornication and you're indirectly guilty of murder. So let me just ask you this question. Do you think that, let's say everything that you Christians believe in is true? Do you think that when me and you go and we stand before this God on Judgment Day, considering now the story of Cain and Abel now in the Bible, considering, you know, you remember Abel, God told him to go out and cut up a lamb and, you know, bring it to the sacrificial altar or whatever. Abel went out and did exactly what God told him to do. Cain, and again, this is just going by what these Christians say they believe. We know they don't, but that's a subject for another video. Cain called himself going to be cute. And he went and got a bunch of fruits and vegetables and made God a nice garden salad, basically. I don't know the exact details, but that's the gist of it, okay? So God, when he looked at these two, he walked right past Cain and he went right to Abel. Why? Because Abel did exactly what he told him to do. Cut up a lamb, send it to me. Just like, you know, I tell y'all, shoot me an email. Nigga, I didn't say call me or text me. I said email me, motherfucker. Right? So, you doing all this pretty preaching. That's what I'm going to start calling it. These black women that call themselves evangelists. You doing all this pretty preaching. And yet, you have violated 2 of God's 10 commandments. 1 is an abomination. You indirectly authorized the killing of a baby inside of your womb. So when we stand before this God and we're facing an eternity between heaven and hell, since that's what y'all say y'all believe, do you really, honestly, and I want to ask a majority of black women who are Christians this question. I know they're going to get mad, and I know they don't want to think about it. And they're going to try to, flip the script and deflect. But I want to ask you, do you really actually think that the God you claim to love so much, even if he looks at me and he says, Brian, I don't like you. Go burn in hell. Do you really think, honestly, that he's going to turn your motherfucking ass and say, you killed a baby. You authorized the killing of a child inside your womb, but you did some good preaching up there in that pulpit. You passed out them tracts on the street. So I'm going to give the fact that you authorized the taking of a life inside your womb. You authorized the killing of your own child. I'm going to get that a pass. Welcome to heaven. Do you really think that's what's going to happen? Because if that's what you really think is going to happen, then that just solidifies why I don't believe in that shit. Because if God is really who y'all say he is, and I doubt that, but let's just go with he really is who y'all say he is. A lot of y'all, including some of y'all listening to this shit right now, are burnt up. So you better hope that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And the preachers neither. Now that's only one part of this shit that I have to address. The other part of this shit that I have to address is obviously what you've been looking at for the last 22 minutes, which is the title in the video. This whole Alyssa Milano calling for a sex strike of all women in the United States, because like the black American female, you have a lot of these middle-aged hoes that have been ran through like train tunnels, like Alyssa Milano. I'm pretty sure if I looked through the list of Hollywood penises she done hopped up and down on, it would take me a couple of minutes to scroll through all of that shit. She and women like her somehow think that their pussies, that rotted devastation between their legs, that has been ran through it's been ran through like Union Station in New York City. They somehow think that is going to change the law or cause laws to be changed. Just like that, it's equivalent to that goofy ass fool, what's his name, Spike Lee, when he made that video that movie called Chirac a couple of years ago. What was the video about? It was about black women who were in the hood calling a sex strike to make all the violence stop. I mean, the fucking the lunacy and the irony of that is just, it's laughable in and of itself. The very females who spawned Blackistan are going to call a sex strike. The very females who are dating these thugs and fucking motivating these thugs to do the dumb shit that they do are going to call a sex strike to stop thuggism. Spike Lee, man, he lost several dozen brownie points with me when he pulled that stupid shit. But that's what this Alyssa Milano idiot reminds me of. And see, this really shows you along with that Georgia congresswoman, that black bimbo, I forget her name, that she introduced some piece of legislation that she knew wasn't going to get through Congress, but she just did it because she was on her period, and she was fire mad because, this bill was, at the time, it was, going through legislation. I think it had already passed through the Georgia House. I think it had passed through the Georgia House, but it hadn't been through the state Senate yet. And so this black woman called herself introducing a counter piece of legislation that men couldn't buy condoms unless, they had a prescription and some other stupid shit. And again, these are women of influence, a politician, a former actress that are acting like this, right? Just like that woman prosecutor that let R. Kelly, I'm not R. Kelly, my god, Jussie Smollett off the hook. Just dropped the charges because she was friends with Michelle Obama, and Michelle Obama wanted Jussie Smollett, she wanted him off the hook. This is exactly precisely why I say that women should not be leading society. They don't think logically. When they get emotional, they just lose all manner of common sense and logical thought. And that's for those who had common sense and logical thought to begin with. And then you include in the fact that this woman is insulting the intelligence of men like me to actually think that her pussy at 46 years of age and 2 kids, if y'all don't understand why I don't have a problem, and if I did, I don't have one, but if I had one, I would not be ashamed to say that I had one of those silicone sex dolls. If y'all don't understand why sex dolls are going to become more popular than they are now, to the point where men going to be coming out with them just like men that come out gay, I don't know what to tell you. Number one, for a female to actually believe that she somehow is going to control me or influence a governmental decision, that she is somehow going to influence the law of man by closing her vagina. Now look, don't get me wrong. If Alyssa Milano was standing on a podium in the middle of South Chicago, like the Roseland neighborhood, and she came with that, if y'all don't change this fucking law, y'all ain't getting no more of this Asian white pussy. Then I could, if she was in Philadelphia, if she was in New Orleans, talking specifically to black men, then I say, okay, well, man, wow, considering what happened on Nyla Says' stream the other day, I can understand, yeah, damn, she ain't playing. I guess, wow, these women know what they doing. Clap, clap. I guess these niggas they gonna straighten up and fly right. They gonna do exactly what you want them to do. Because a nigga, he can't live. I talk with niggas on streams, on my live streams, that said they can't live without pussy. Okay, so then Alyssa Milano will be getting somewhere. But for her to think that the white man, her tribe of men, the Asian man, the men who run this world, and how do we know they run this world? Donald Trump, President of the United States, in talks with China about trade talks, on business trade. You don't hear the United States talking to nobody in South America for the most part, or Africa, about trade talks. It's usually between white men and Asian men. How we gonna do this? Let's negotiate, okay? She thinks somehow that she's gonna control this dude with her stank ass, rotted out, used up cooch. That, number one, shows you not only how disingenuous, well, no, that doesn't show you how disingenuous women are. That shows you how delusional a lot of them are. And then, number two, she further insults my intelligence by making me trying to get me to actually believe, thinking that I actually believe that women are going to be able to control their sex drive, as if they're not as horny and don't desire sex as much as men do. Again, we know it is a fact. Women crave dick and attention as much as men do. Crave vagina and attention from women. We know this. It may not be your or my dick, but they do love dick. Okay? They go after it. If it's a guy they're attracted to, they will do almost anything to get him, especially when they're younger. Some of them when they're older. Okay? For her to think that I am stupid enough to believe that all of these hoes that you see on Instagram and Facebook and all this hashtag Me Too crap are just going to close their fucking legs and everything's going to be fine and dandy. Not only is that laughable, but that shows you how disingenuous these whores actually are. Because there is no way that females are just going to walk away from dick and that females in their vagina is going to make the world go around. Now, I've heard a couple of dumb niggas in my day say that pussy make the world go around. I think it was even in a rap music video. But that is only in the world of a degenerate Negro. That is not in the world of a Donald Trump, of a Bill Gates, of a Warren Buffett. No, that is not in their world. Elon Musk. No, that is not in their world, baby. Okay? Because number one, they have plenty of women that's going to give it up to them anyway. Okay? And number two, like I said, y'all ain't going to walk away from dick any more than these goofies going to walk away from vagina. So this right here lets you know why I said what I said in my abortion video and my Let's Talk About Becky video. This is where the modern day female, no matter her race, is at psychologically. Where she actually thinks like this. And y'all recall now, before I get off here, y'all recall, I also made a video about that whore Karine Stephans that y'all act like y'all didn't want to touch. Where she was talking about how she can suck as many dicks and fuck as many dudes as she wants. You remember that, right? But she still wanted a dude to turn a hoe, which is her, into a housewife. Okay? That'll be the same type of hoe that will be on this soapbox like Alyssa Milano, preaching about women closing their fucking legs. Something that we know just based off of what we see in society, just what we see at the club, just what we see on the street. The way these women dress, the way they act, trying to pretend like they don't want it, but that's exactly what they're trying to attract. The way they talk, the way they allow themselves to be presented on the front covers of magazines and on billboards, what some of them do for a living. In Hollywood, on TV. They think we actually believe that they're going to close their legs. And if that happens, that's going to somehow change something. As if a man can't get pussy from any bimbo and almost stick his dick in just about anything. If y'all don't understand why I'm black pill and a Marlboro man, if y'all don't understand why I don't even talk with these hoes anymore, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm just going to let the evidence show for itself. Talk to you later, guys.